Welcome back to Introduction to Synthesizers, course that will teach you all the skills you need to start working with synths. Now, in the previous videos, we learned how all synthesizers, regardless of the type, are going to follow the same simple 3-step process for creating new sounds. Step number 1 is to produce a raw sound. Step number 2 is to modify that sound. And then step number 3 is to amplify it so it can be heard. Now, today we are going to learn more about one of the most fundamental and useful tools for modifying sounds, which is the envelope generator. We're going to learn 2 more parameters found in nearly all envelopes before learning a whole bunch of super exciting and fun applications to help you level up your sound design skills. So with that, let's get started. We've already learned about one use for envelopes, the amp envelope. As a reminder, the amp envelope shapes a synth by changing the volume over time. The most common shapes following a pattern of ADSR. First, we have the attack stage, which determines how long it takes for a new note to go from silence to full volume. Next, the decay stage determines how long the synth will take to move back down from the peak volume to the sustaining volume, if it sustains at all. And then the release stage, which determines how long it's going to take for your synth to get back to silence after a note ends or you lift your finger off the keyboard. These controls form the foundation for the different types of synths you can create. In episode 1, we already learned how you can use ADSR shapes to help create pads, leads, plucks, and basses. But the really cool thing is that we can apply this same exact concept to so much more than just volume. For example, we could take this little pluck shape and we could apply it to our filter cutoff. Or we could apply it to our oscillator pitch. Both of which result in a stronger, more interesting attack stage or personality for our synth. Or we can give a pad a more morphing, evolving quality by attaching a longer envelope shape to both the wavetable position and the frequency cutoff of our filter. In most synths, you can use an envelope shape to manipulate nearly any parameter that you want. If there's a knob, a fader, or a value, chances are you can assign an envelope to help manipulate it over time. And the good news is if you already learned how to use your synth's amp envelope, like we did in episode 1 of this series, then there isn't really much more that you need to learn to start applying these elsewhere. In fact, you only need to understand 2 additional, fairly intuitive concepts: the ideas of a starting point and envelope amount. Let's take a look at a filter envelope to better understand these concepts. Setting up a filter envelope is very similar to an amp envelope in theory. Just instead of controlling my volume, my envelope is going to control my filter's cutoff frequency. In an amp envelope, the ADSR shape starts from silence. It then moves to a peak volume, then a sustaining volume, before returning back to silence. I like using this synth, Reaktor, to help demonstrate this concept because there's a little arrow that illustrates how the envelope is impacting your chosen parameter. So here I have an ADSR envelope attached to my amp. Watch this little arrow and you'll see first the attack stage reach a new peak, then move down to the sustaining volume before I lift my finger off of the key, and then it will slowly come back down to silence. There's my sustain, I release it, and it goes back to silence. If I add another envelope and I set it up to impact my filter cutoff instead of my volume, then now the ADSR shape will impact the position of my cutoff frequency. It will start at the original point, it will then move to a new peak, either a high or a low, before moving back to a sustaining level that I choose, before returning to the original cutoff in my release stage. And I release. Instead of going for a high peak, I can also take this, move it down, and create a low peak instead. Again, watching how all of this moves through each of the individual stages. I'm sustaining, and now I release. So what all this means is that in order to create a filter envelope, you need to figure out at least 3 different things. First is what is your original cutoff frequency? This is the starting and end point for your ADSR shape. Number 2 is what is going to be your maximum peak frequency, whether that is a peak high or a peak low. Just where are you moving to from the original cutoff frequency? And then number 3 is what kind of ADSR shape do you want to work with? Let's move to a different synth to help apply this information. Here I'm working in Massive X. As you can see, these down here are my envelope generators. Now, Massive X has a whole lot of additional cool little doodads and controls for the envelopes, but the basics are all here, as they would be in every synth you ever come across. This little knob here controls attack. This one controls the decay. This little guy up here controls sustain level. And then we have release. So at the moment, I have a simple little lead synth, and I'm going to use it to eventually play a melody or something. I want to experiment with a filter envelope to see if I can give it a bit more personality. Step 1 is to determine our starting point, or the original cutoff frequency. This step is going to require a little bit of imagination. It can be super helpful to consider which type of ADSR shape you eventually want to use for the filter envelope. If you're going to use like a plucky shape with a super short attack and 0 sustain, then you can think of this as a sort of settling point, or the sound that your synth is going to end up with at the sustain. But if you're working with a pad with a nice long attack, then you can think of this as the sound at the very start of your synth. Either way, you're going to start out by setting up your filter using the same exact process we learned in episode 2 of this series. In this case, I ended up with a cutoff frequency of 424 Hertz and just over 30% resonance for a nice little plucky sound. Once you have your starting point figured out, the next step is to decide on your peak value, something that we are going to call the envelope amount. This factor is the very peak value that your envelope will reach at the end of your attack stage, and it determines the amount of movement or change introduced by your envelope generator. Going back to Reaktor for a quick example. Here we have our filter envelope set up just like we did earlier. And this subtle little slider right here controls our envelope amount. With it set relatively low, we can hear the subtle impact that our filter envelope has while watching how far this arrow travels. If we crank it up super high, then suddenly the envelope is responsible for a much more dramatic shift, while keeping in the same exact ADSR shape and time limits we defined earlier. As you can both see and hear, the different envelope amounts can have a dramatic impact on the type of sound you create. All right, let's go back to Massive X. So we're going to start by taking our envelope generator and connecting it to the cutoff frequency of our filter. In Massive X, we do this by finding the dark panel right here, identifying the arrows belonging to our envelope. This is modulator 2, so it's envelope number 2. We're going to click and drag, and we're going to just drop it off into this little box here on the cutoff frequency. It's the same basic process in Massive, where any one of these little boxes can have an envelope assigned to it. But in Absynth 6, we have to select from a predetermined list of different possible envelopes in our envelope tab. In Reaktor 6, we have to set it up modularly, which means we have to take all these little wires and connect it properly. I'll admit, modular synths like this have a slightly steeper learning curve. Every synth is a little different, but they will all have at least some way to determine which parameter of your instrument a given envelope is going to control. Again, this is one of those annoying things that you're just going to need to either Google or find in your owner's manual. But at the very least, you know what you're looking for. You're searching for modulation envelopes in insert the name of your synth. But the important part is that you're not going to control the envelope amount using the same controls you used for your starting point. In this case, the frequency cutoff. We're not going to touch this knob again. It stays here. No, instead, we are going to use the control for envelope amount. In Massive X and many synths, you control envelope amount by finding the name of your envelope in its little value box, clicking it, and then dragging it in one direction or the other until you determine how much your target value should be manipulated. And again, take your time to figure out where you want this value to lie. Regardless of which type of shape you eventually want to make for this envelope, I'm going to recommend you start with an instant attack and with your sustain cranked all the way up. This shape is super useful for finding your peak because essentially every single note I play will automatically play at the maximum value and just hold it there. So you can use this as a reference to determine your maximum or minimum value. I like that. So that sounds about right. Once you figure out your peak, the third and final step is to experiment with your ADSR shape until you get the sound that you're looking for. For example, if you're working with a filter envelope, these are some of the most common shapes you'll find. Instant attack, zero sustain, and a super short decay for creating sharp attacks with just a little burst of brightness. If you lengthen the decay and add just a little bit of sustain and release, you get a gentler version of the same effect. Whereas a super long attack, zero sustain, and a moderately long decay helps create this kind of slow rising quality for pads. Exaggerating it a bit more can create really weird effects. And this is super fun, but like I mentioned earlier, one of the coolest parts of all of this is the fact that you can use this same exact process to set up envelopes for nearly any parameter that you can think of. You just need to pick a destination for your envelope, find a starting point, find your envelope amount, and then develop your ADSR shape. For example, using the same basic shapes we just talked about for filter cutoff, but attaching it to filter resonance instead for a more subtle version of the same kind of pluck, or a subtle little point of focus that grows and shrinks in your pads. Another option would be manipulating pitch, the most common of which being a super quick little plucking shape set to either an octave or a semitone. For wavetable synths like Massive and Massive X, you can also control the wavetable position, where slower shapes can be used to create this morphing quality of sound for sustaining synths. Short plucky type shapes can be used to create a more vocal, almost sing-songy quality to the attacks of your synths. You can even attach it to something like panning to create a sense of movement with your sound. Or even get creative with your oscillator configurations, like doubling and detuning. Honestly, your imagination is the limit. As we continue further in this series, I'm going to introduce you to dozens of interesting and fun tools that are found in most synthesizers. And each and every time we come across a parameter that commonly gets manipulated by envelope generators, I'll make sure to share additional examples. But using envelope generators as tools for modulation and sound design opens the door to nearly limitless possibilities when combined with everything we've already learned about amp envelopes, filters, and oscillator configurations. Before we end this video, we need to take a moment to address how this step can fit into your general workflow. First, I would start by deciding which type of synth I'm trying to create. In this case, a lead, a pluck, a pad, or a bass. Then I would select an initial oscillator to use as a reference for setting up my amp envelope. Once that's set up, I would experiment with my oscillator configuration, making small tweaks to my amp envelope as necessary before experimenting with filters. Once my initial sound is set up, I would then begin experimenting with how applying envelope generators to various parameters of my synth can help provide additional personality and color to my sound. As you can probably tell, there's going to be a whole lot of moving back and forth between various steps when making a synth. And that's okay. It's not supposed to be dogmatic or linear. You're allowed to play around and experiment. The point of having a workflow is to just very simply help reduce choice paralysis, which can be super common in sound design. And using only what we've learned so far in these first 4 videos, we are already able to create a wide variety of interesting and unique sounds. So with that taken care of, we've reached the end of another video, my friends. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you come up with a cool new way of applying envelope generators that weren't included in this video, make sure to share it in the comments. Today, we have added the following items to your new synth checklist. If you find yourself working with a new synth and you can identify these simple little tools, you will be that much closer to mastering your new instrument. Today, a special thanks goes out to my patrons and my channel members for making videos like this one possible. I appreciate each of you more than you know. You can use the affiliate link in the description of this video to grab a copy of any of the synths used in these videos so far and follow along with the rest of this series. So until next time, my friends, keep studying, keep working hard, and keep writing new music. I will see you in the next video.